TechTimeRadio.com.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from The Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in business management, accounting, and finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating when you purchase other items from other businesses. Never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit The Business Doctor today.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you heard of the Highbrow Dribble?
No, but it sounds smarty pants to me.
Highbrow Dribble delivers hilarious takes from serious experts. Every week, comedian Anthony Janot introduces one of his comedian friends to an academic, scientist, politician, or expert of some kind.
Oh yeah? And what do they do?
Over the course of roughly an hour, the group will offer thought-provoking topics, expert guests, and hilarious commentation.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Host Anthony Janot is critically acclaimed stand-up comedian who has sold out shows in Australia, England, Scotland, Sweden, and more. But we're talking specifically about his podcast now called The Highbrow Dribble. Topics range from ethics and artificial intelligence to astronomy and dinosaurs.
Really? Oh, I love dinosaurs. Do they talk about owls?
Every week, it's a new comedian, a new expert, but the same Highbrow Dribble. Highbrow Dribble is available on all major podcast players and at www.highbrowdribble.com. Again, that's www.highbrowdribble.com.
Yeah, that sounds like smart nonsense. Can't wait to listen.
Hey, Mike, are you tired of the same old fantasy football leagues that you hear about online? They get canceled after a year or so?
Dude, everybody plays fantasy football.
Dynasty Owner has your back.
Dude,
Dynasty Owner unites the fun and excitement of fantasy football with the skill and strategy of the front office by incorporating a salary cap and real NFL player salaries for die-hard fantasy football fanatics that really want the real GM experience.
Yeah, dude.
It adds a whole new level of strategy to fantasy football. And it's no more of this cheap Yahoo league. This is a full dedicated league to be participating in.
Dude,
they want you to have the real GM experience. It adds a whole new level of strategy to fantasy football. It's such a big difference maker that they hold 3 patents on it.
3?
Yes, 3. If you go to dynastyowner.com,
dude,
new leagues for the 2021 season are forming right now.
Are you worried you won't be able to find anyone to play in your league with?
Don't worry. Dynasty Owners can help you fill the league with fantasy football enthusiasts like yourself, so you don't have to worry about finding enough players.
Yeah, dude.
You can choose to start your own league, join a league that needs to be filled, or you can even purchase a team from a previous owner if you'd like to take that team to the championship. If you're finally serious about joining the big leagues,
dude,
go to dynastyowner.com and start your dynasty today.
Yeah, dude.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to TechTime Radio. Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. That was a great time doing that last commercial. So hopefully you can sign up for fantasy football with one of our sponsors by going to techtimeradio.com/sponsors and you can learn more. Yeah. But before we do that, let's start off our show. Hi, welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week. The show is for your everyday common person with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. I'm Nathan Mumm, and welcome to our show. We are live streaming on Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, and you can go to techtimeradio.com, see the live stream that goes on there on our nice, beautiful website. Or, of course, you can always go to 1150 KKNW and listen to us live or watch our video.
Yeah, dude.
Now, we live stream on Saturdays 4 to 6 p.m. If you're not watching us at 4 to 6 p.m., then you are catching a rebroadcast of the show. All right. TechTime Radio is a...
What, no Captain Obvious today?
Well, no, that's a second hour thing, though. I'm going to now move Captain Obvious into the second.
What? I did it in the first hour last week.
Okay.
Nobody liked it.
So let me tell you, if you're watching us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6 p.m., and on Sunday, then you're catching a rebroadcast. So we want to make that clear for everybody.
That, man.
All right, so here we go. You must have had a great time with me being off last week, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? You did,
yeah.
You had a good time sitting over here in the lead seat?
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
trying to read your script and all the technical errors we were having, and that was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
It's so great that, you know what, we're going to do it next week. So next week, you and Gwen going to come on back. This is wedding season, so we're kind of doing the wedding crasher version. I guess everybody decided.
Is that what you're doing? You're just crashing weddings just so I can do this by myself?
So you can do this. Well, I'll tell you, the one thing that's not really great about it is my wife was listening to you and Gwen, and she said you guys were way better than me. So she's like, why do you even do a radio show? It should just be called TechTime Radio and put other people on. So
there we go.
All right, but that's not the case. All right. Dude, let's talk about what we got going on. On our first hour, we have crypto scammers. We're going to be talking a subject about that regarding pump and dump schemes going digital for the first hour of our show. We have Trump suing the social media world.
All right.
That's going to be exciting to talk about.
Exciting.
We got Apple founder Steve Wozniak. Actually, I know that too because I've seen him a gazillion times. Steve Wozniak is going to be talking about the right to repair movement. We're going to be talking a little bit about that. It's a very interesting movement that I'm kind of excited about. It's about fixing your computers without having to have it all be proprietary. But he spoke 7.5 minutes. We got some excerpts about his talk about that we're going to be listening to. Of course, we're going to also be doing a review on the iOS 15 OS since we did something on Windows 11.
Yeah, I know. We talked about how Windows 11 sucks.
Well, so let's see if Apple's going to suck. So we're going to take a look at all that. So we got that coming on up. And, of course, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment brought to us by Story Coffee. Did you get your Story Coffee today?
No, but I didn't check my mail.
You didn't check your mail. I got my Story Coffee today. So I already brewed up Story Coffee. I grinded it. It is so good when it comes out fresh coffee from the bag, instantly grounded. Then I had 2 cups, and then I put it in that one little cup that can
I had
last
some
for days.
saved over from last time.
Okay. All right. So you're probably waiting for you at home. Mm-hmm. All right. In our second hour, we've got our letter segment again. We're going to be talking about email scams and funny phishing attempts. I actually brought in a physical letter that was mailed to me that is actually kind of a scam letter regarding a renewal of domain sites. So we're going to talk about that also in the letter segment.
You got a snail mail letter?
I did, which we're going to put in the letter segment. So
that'll
be exciting. We have Nick Espinoza that's going to be on our show. Of course, our Security Fanatics CEO and main contributor to TechTime Radio. We're going to be talking about a large breach that happened to all of these managed service providers. So a lot of small companies get IT services through a managed service provider, and we have a breach that happened with Kaseya. It's a management app that is way worse than the SolarWinds. Now, it didn't affect large, big businesses, so it affected a lot of small businesses, and I have a letter from that on a company that I work with that essentially when this breach happened, they shut down everything and just said, sorry, you're not going to have service for 5 days. Sorry, we just don't have,
That's like a death nail to a business.
Yeah, so if I used them as a managed service provider, and I'll read the email, it's very interesting that essentially I would just be dead in the water for 5 days, and I would have to figure out how to run my operations without that help.
That happened once a long time ago when I managed a pager store. We lost airtime for a week.
Oh, really?
50% of our customers.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
You can't do that, and especially if the company that you're.
Yeah, they went out of business not too long after.
That's probably one of the reasons why. So we're talking about that, and then we're going to have a Nathan Nugget. Since I wasn't on the show yesterday, I put a Nathan Nugget in. We're going to be talking about my former company, Microsoft. I was employed by Microsoft for 10 years, and we got a bunch of stories. And so Microsoft was in the news so much this week that we decided to put a segment specifically for them on the Nathan Nugget to be talking about on the second hour. All right. Well, we are going to need to have some whiskey. You know, we got the whiskey in here. It's almost already out of the bottle.
Yeah, let's talk about this because you know I'm a little upset that you're pre-testing the whiskey.
So it did come out almost half empty, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. When I saw this bottle last, it had already been opened, but there was only like a shot missing.
Yeah.
And then when we got here today, there were like 3 shots missing.
Well, it was a good Friday night last night. Let me just tell you that.
You're not supposed to be pre-testing the whiskey.
Oh,
man.
I don't know if I like this, but it's pretty good stuff.
That's not fair. At least if you're going to be doing that, send me a bottle.
I'll send you a bottle too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to engage with us, we got a busy packed show. But if you do want to have a question about technology, always feel free to call us at 373-5527 or 1-888-298-KKNW, which is 1-888-298-5569. You'll get David, our engineer, on the phone. If you've got a technology question, he'll put you on, and we'll interrupt whatever segment we're doing to move to that. But speaking of segments, we have to ask a question. We're going to be late to our segment, and that's what happens when I'm a little bit, I missed last week so much. So I'm going to ask you the loaded question of the day, and it is, what is your favorite sandwich?
What is my favorite? Oh,
your favorite
that's
sandwich.
Easy.
What's that?
A Reuben.
A Reuben.
I love Reubens.
Okay, David.
They don't love me, but I love Reubens.
David, jump on. What's your favorite sandwich?
It's got to be tuna, but the tuna I make at home, not at certain places that I will not name on the air.
Okay, all right. So I like a tuna sandwich too. Tuna melt. Oh, if you get a tuna melt, are you kidding me?
I hate tuna.
Oh, if you have the melted cheese.
You like
on
the
it
tuna water that drips out of it?
No. The Star Kiss or
tuna,
whatever that is.
Tuna soup?
We feed that to the cats. The cats like that. All right.
Tuna soup.
Let's get immediately going in. We need to start our first segment, so let's get that going right now, David.
Yes.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
All right, welcome to the top stories in the first 5 minutes of our show. We're going to start with story number one. Story number one, Trump sues Facebook, Google, and Twitter in class action lawsuit. And we got some audio and Twitter. So
Twitter.
Facebook, Google, and Twitter in a class action lawsuit. And we have audio from the man himself. So let's cue that up, David.
Former President Donald Trump. He is suing several social media platforms and their CEOs. Mr. Trump announced that he's filed a class action lawsuit against Facebook, Twitter, and Google.
In conjunction with the America First Policy Institute, I'm filing as the lead class representative a major class action lawsuit against the big tech giants, including Facebook, Google, and Twitter, as well as their CEOs.
So Twitter banned Mr. Trump permanently while Facebook's oversight board suspended him for 2 years. Facebook says that it will only reinstate him if experts say that the risk of violence incited by his online presence is low enough.
All right, we had to start with that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
He's your favorite guy, isn't it?
He's a fascinating study on human behavior.
You said that many times. So
Yes.
you don't hate him.
No,
or you
I
don't
don't
dislike him.
I don't hate him.
You
But
just say he's just got some weird quirks.
Yeah, we should never. Yeah,
He shouldn't have won
He
presidency.
no, he should not have. He's got disadvantages.
He has disadvantages. All right. Well, former President Donald Trump has announced a class action lawsuit against Facebook, Twitter, and Google on Wednesday, and they seek to promote restoration of Trump's social media accounts. He's also asked the courts to impose punitive damages on the social media companies for banning him and their sites. Trump
How much?
There was not. So there was 3 or 4 different numbers that were posted out there, and all of them were different. So I did not include that in the report because I only like at TechTime Radio. We're independent of Republican, Democrat, independent people. We just want to report the news, right? So if I find 3 or 4 different areas, I'm not going to put it in there because I don't want to be incorrect and have to come back and then make a correction. But what we do know is he's complaining about Section 230. We've talked about this specifically on the show. And essentially, Section 230 is the Communications Decency Act, which shields social media companies from liability. And he's saying that it's unconstitutional. The reason that Congress cannot lawfully encourage private person or censorship speech is that Congress is currently constitutionally forbidden from doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Trump says that he wants to change the law, and he believes social media should not be censoring what needs to be taken care of.
Okay,
Sometimes,
does he want to change the law, or does he want to get back on the social media platform so he can rail about stuff?
So he said that he was a part of a lawsuit.
Uh-huh.
He said that in the articles that he wants to be back on those
That's
deals.
exactly what this is. This isn't about 230. It's about his need for attention.
I think he would probably settle if he got back on the social media platform, so he could have all of his fans say "way to go" and give him thumbs ups and likes and boost his ego.
Yeah, this is about him. This isn't about the law.
All right, so that is that's a big story though. When you have Trump anywhere in the news, you got to have him. It's always interesting having him talk. All right, story number 2: Apple founder Steve Wozniak. Steve. Wow, Wozniak.
Where's that hooked on?
Wozniak. Well, Steve Wozniak.
Steve Wozniak.
Backs there we
Slow
go.
down.
Right to
Breathe.
Take some whiskey.
There
Get
we
some
go.
whiskey, take a drink.
Apple founder Steve Wozniak backs right to repair movement. So let's listen to this audio. This is audio of Steve talking specifically and passionately about the right to repair movement.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have had an Apple had I not grown up in a very open technology world, an open electronics world. You could learn electronics at a very young age. I had a ham radio license at 10 years old when you had to build your own radios, every single part of them, transmitter and receiver. You know, and back then when you bought electronic things like TVs and radios, every bit of the circuits and designs were included on paper, total open source. Someone with skill could get in and modify things to fix broken radios or televisions, or to improve them, or to even replace destroyed parts. So why stop them? Why stop the self-repair community? Why stop the right to repair people? Look at the Apple II. It's shipped with full schematics, designs, and software source listings, code listings, totally open source. The Apple II was modifiable and extendable to the maximum. People figured out how to convert the early display into having lowercase characters and stuff with their own hardware added. Anyway, it's time to recognize the right to repair more fully. I believe that companies inhibit it because it gives the companies power, control, over everything. And I guess in a lot of people's minds, power over others equates to money and profits.
All right. So that was 7.5 minutes of him talking.
That was a long time.
That was a long time. So I tried to cut it back to the big thing. So the key is, he says, and which is absolutely true. I remember growing up on an Apple II, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the ability, that did come with schematics. It came up with open source code. The manual itself was like 172 pages that you got, so you understood the insides about it. If a transistor broke, you could go down to the Radio Shack at that time, put it back in there and repair it. So they had the ability. And if you actually called up for repair information, they would actually tell you that. You know what? You can go and get this transistor here. You can do this, or you can send it back to us. He's absolutely engaged now in the right to repair, specifically targeting his old company, Apple, that he works with. He actually gets a stipend for being one of the co-founders with Steve Jobs for Apple, but he's saying that this needs to be corrected. Instead of you having to take your Apple PC into the Mac store.
Was this the same thing as if you unscrew this, you're violating your warranty thing?
Yeah, a lot of places do that now where they'll put a warranty sticker in. And so if the Dell laptop, you open it up yourself and you put in after memory, not buying it specifically from Dell on the machine, then your warranty is voided. And he's actually now passionately saying that this shouldn't be. It should be.
So this targets that whole
thing. The right to repair is specifically. It started by a guy that has essentially started a movement. He's gained so far $750,000 that he's raised. His name's Mr. Rossman, to actually lobby. He's trying to get about $6 million is what he says is his target, so that he can go and put the right to repair on a direct ballot initiative for a global election, to have it be able to have manufacturers design places in repair areas to take your machine. Now, I just lost a Surface, right? So we talked about it. I had a Surface 4.
Mm-hmm.
I could not repair the Surface 4 Plus version, or Surface 5 is what they had, because the hard drive was physically mounted onto the machine itself. I couldn't just take it out, upgrade the hard drive. And so specifically in this initiative, it's to create modular items. So if I want to upgrade my hard drive, I don't have to go through a company that I bought it from, but I can get it anywhere to be taken care of.
Right. Okay.
All right. Last story. Very big initiative. You're going to be hearing about this initiative in the future. You're hearing about it here on TechTime Radio as it's now breaking. I guarantee you we'll have this conversation probably in a year from now on the radio of a bill that is passed and how it's now going to change the industry itself. Story 3, real quick. Nintendo Switch OLED model to go on sale October 8th for $350. Do you have a Switch, Nintendo Switch?
I do not. My kids do.
Okay, Nintendo Switch. The idea is you're going to be now able to have a 7-inch 720p OLED display in the palm of your hand. So it's the highest end version of display you could get for your Switch. Essentially, what they're trying to do here is have it on sale for $350 on October 8th, and they want to set the all-time record for selling of units. Currently, that is held by the Wii console with 101.63 million units that were sold, and they believe that the Switch right now at 84.59 million units can pass that with this new model. So there you go, coming on out. All right. We're going to need to head out to a commercial break, but when we come on back, we are going to open up into our Technology Insider. We're going to be talking about iOS 15, and we got some whiskey to drink. We'll see you right after the break.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Have you heard about 180 Consulting?
No.
I love these guys. You know how much I avoid working with copy vendors, right?
Actually, I get to hear about it all the time.
Not anymore, because guess what? The guys at 180 Consulting took over the entire process. They assessed our needs, worked directly with the vendors on my behalf, and helped us understand our option. No sales fluff, just good information so we can make the right decision.
Well, that sounds good. How do they get paid?
Their only compensation comes from a small share of the cost savings they create. They work for us, and it's a win-win.
You know, that sounds like a no-brainer.
There's two ways to reach them. You can get them at info@180-consulting.com or visit them online at www.180-consulting.com.
www.180-consulting.com.
Thank you, Mike. 180-consulting.com.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Pager, host of An Informed Life Radio. In an age when the term misinformation is used to silence criticism and debate about COVID-19, vaccines, and more, we're bringing you doctors, lawyers, and scientists to discuss the missing information about your health and medical freedom. An Informed Life Radio airs right here on KKNW every Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. We're starting a real health revolution, one conversation at a time. Join us.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm, and we just got our whiskey tasting underway, right? So we got the Dark Northern Reserve Rye Whiskey. It sells for $54 for a bottle, so it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It's 91 proof, 80% of Dark Northern Rye, and 20% of the Skagit barley malts.
Mm-hmm.
A rich spirit of raisin and honey characteristics that lead a mellow, smoky, spicy finish.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking?
It's good.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a reason that the bottle was half done by the time I came in this.
Yeah,
this
well,
show.
that still doesn't excuse you opening up in the first place.
What's that?
Because you had to open it and then taste it and then drink it. So
well,
you could have left it closed.
Well, no, because this tastes really good. So
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
didn't know it tastes really good until you open it.
Well, I did. Most of the whiskeys
Just
I
stop
get.
pre-tasting.
All right, most whiskeys we get. I try to taste it enough so that you're not going to be like ragging on it. I don't want to put a Kentucky's Best again up here because that thing was horrible.
Dude, that's what we need. That's
Okay.
the whole thing. If we
Trader
get
Joe's, here we come
get
this
a
weekend.
Kentucky's Worst.
Yeah.
We both need to experience that at the same time. You can't keep bringing these really delicious whiskeys, and then we're always going to be doing this.
Well, but it's nice to have a good whiskey to drink if we're having a good show. I'll give you a real crappy one next week. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Stop pre-tasting.
All right. Well, now that we got our drinks out of the way, we have our segment with our technology expert, being myself, and Mike asking me questions on the iOS from Apple. It's just in beta format, so it's not been released completely to the iOS market yet, but there's absolutely the availability if you're a developer to download it. If you want to download the beta version, you can. We're going to start our next segment now.
Welcome to Technology Insider. We get the information directly from the source.
All right. So, Nathan, while you were enjoying being off last week and going to a wedding, we talked about Windows 11.
Yes.
And I know you missed out on that.
I did. I was listening to it, though.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good segment. I was like, oh, that's a good segment. That's a great segment.
Yeah, well, we found out why it sucks.
That's right.
So this week, it's only fair to review iOS 15, which is Apple's for new format for the iPad and the iPhones and other iOS devices.
Correct.
Right?
So it's not for the Mac, but it's for the tablets, phones, and everything with that.
Right. So with Apple's release, cadence and insistence on major updates coming just once a year. This means that some of these features are arriving in what will hopefully be a post-pandemic return to life this fall. So we got SharePlay, which is one of the update's marquee features, but now that people have the option to watch movies and listen to music together in person again, is this something that's needed?
So let's talk about the part of the iOS and iOS 15, the overhaul that they did. They've changed Safari. They've changed the Maps app feel, and they've made major changes into FaceTime and SharePlay. So SharePlay is kind of the biggest, flashiest feature that they came out with. They probably came out with it 5 months late. So specifically, SharePlay allows someone to watch a movie or listen to music at the same time with somebody else. So it uses the FaceTime process.
This is sort of like watching Netflix.
So it's like watching Netflix. Well, yeah, not Netflix though, but it's like watching certain, and we'll talk about specifically which providers are a part of it. What is nice about it is you could be remote, so I could be here, so you could have somebody in New York, and we could watch a movie, right? But now we'd have to both purchase the movie in the Apple format or one of the providers that are listed at Apple. So if I wanted to watch a movie and you wanted to watch a movie, they get two purchases, not one, of that movie. Or if I wanted to listen to music together, it'd be two purchases and not one for us to share it out. Now, the reason they came up with this is because there was a lot of apps that came out during COVID-19 that had the ability to do this. And a lot of those just allowed you to have one stream that people could connect to, and then you could both watch that stream. And you could do Netflix. Yep,
That's
absolutely.
The Netflix one.
And there's 6 or 7 apps that came out to the store. So Apple wants to incorporate that into their ecosystem now.
So maybe they
have
should do the same format. So,
well, if you have Disney Plus, you're okay. If you have Twitch, you're okay. If you have Hulu, you're okay. If you have TikTok, you're okay, and HBO Max. But if you have Netflix and YouTube and you're trying to do this, they are not supported on the platform at this time. Okay. Those are two big players.
Those are but we've talked about the rise and fall of Netflix.
We have. So maybe people wouldn't be watching Netflix, but YouTube is a big one, right?
Yeah, YouTube is a big one.
And
the fact that I have to buy the movie.
Yep.
And you have to buy the movie. That kind of makes me not want to use it.
Well, so it does make it so that all of the items have to be purchased from iTunes. So the iTunes library. So I mean that is their infrastructure. So I can't have a Voodoo. I have a Voodoo account.
Well, this is their This is Apple's kind of insular this way.
Correct.
Right. They're always. This is like you can only do this, and you can only get it here, and you can only This is sort of the Apple idea.
So let's talk about FaceTime, right? So FaceTime, they did make some changes to FaceTime. They made it available so that you could do video chat application that was sorely missing. You now have the availability to use FaceTime with Windows and Android users. So they have extended that so that essentially FaceTime, if you load up other apps on other platforms, you can now use FaceTime to communicate back and forth. Problem is FaceTime really as easy to use? Specifically, they're trying to target these operating systems so they could create large group meetings. And you have this
like
company.
Zoom.
Yeah, you got Zoom. Zoom owns that market now. Whether we like it or not, if you don't have Zoom, Google Hangouts try to come on out. Microsoft tries to come. Teams tries to come on out. Nothing's better than the Zoom client. Everybody has a Zoom client. Every mom,
it's easy to use, and it's
figured it out.
Yeah.
So you're kind of missing the boat here. This would have been great to have some of these FaceTime features probably a year ago. So you could have been into this market. And then maybe when COVID hit, you would have been the platform that people would have used to communicate. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about, so we did that. So iTunes has to be used. FaceTime application we talked a little bit about. Let's talk about specifically moving into some of the other areas of this app.
Well, isn't there some new changes in the chatting feature too?
So there is some new in the chatting feature. You have the ability to use the SharePlay. You have the ability to tinker around and have large images that you can share in the chat feature. One of the nice, cool features that they have is the new focus feature. And so essentially this allows you to be able to focus in and actually look and have different categories for your work and life balance. So let's say
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that a little bit more.
Okay, so
because
the focus
I have no
mode.
idea what you just said.
Okay, so the focus mode. So the focus mode that we're going to be talking about right now on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
if you get, let's say you have Slack, or let's say you have a application for your work phone, and you go home and you're still using your same unit itself, you're probably still getting those Slack alerts. You're probably still getting alerts from work items that are coming on in. Maybe you have some alerting system that uses SMS text for your work process for your phone. What the focus feature is allowing you to do pretty aggressively is that you can now kind of create a work home life balance by having your work apps end at a certain time. So if I only want
this is
Slack
like do not disturb on.
So it's really advanced that do not disturb feature. And it's done it so that I can actually say that this app that is on my phone that I'm using, I only want it to be used from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then after that, we're going to put you into a mode where you're not informing me of information. And maybe I want then my home life to have a whole different aspect where I want my kids to be able to text me. I want to be able to share a different item. I can actually go and create kind of a work-life balance in having work apps alert me during 9 to 5 times, and I can have the other apps take care of it in a post-working.
Okay. Is this something that we really need?
So there's a lot of free apps that are out there.
Well, I know.
That do exactly some of these same type of trigger alerts. I don't know if it's a great aspect to add to their selection, but it does give you the ability to feel like you can kind of remove yourself from the app itself and still use your phone from work. So if I'm at work and I'm at home and I don't want to necessarily take a look at those alerts, I have it. I don't know if this is not a deal breaker for me by any means.
Well, see, I have an Android. Right? That's my personal, but my work phone is an iPhone.
Okay.
And when I'm done with my iPhone, I chuck it over on the desk and just ignore it.
See, I have 2 phones too, right? So I mean, I got an Apple device and I got an Android device. So I got my 2. I got a phone right down here. So here's my 2 phones, right? So I have 2 phones, and I have a personal one and I have a work one also. So I enjoy being able to put one phone down, and not answering it, and then having the other phone available during the time that I need to have it available. And I like keeping my work and my life separate completely on the device itself.
It sounds a lot like maybe this is too little too late kind of stuff going on for this poor.
Well, maybe everybody doesn't have 2 phones though. I know a lot of people that do. So if you only had one phone and you used it for work, and you also maybe work gave you a phone, and you also wanted to use your phone for your personal items, which is the worst thing to do ever. If you ever do that and then your company, you end up leaving your company. That number normally doesn't port with you.
Yeah.
The company's like, no, we own the phone. We own that number. Best of luck. And then everybody that you had, your friends using that number, will call the new person, and the new person will be like, no, this person doesn't work here. And I always think you should have 2 different phones, one for work and one for
that's
personal
kind of a smart thing to do. But
it is.
Again, even if I just had that one phone and I was working a business from that one phone and I had a personal thing with it.
Well, I guess the widgets are nice so that you could configure them if they're available.
Maybe they'll bring tiles back.
I don't think they'll do that, but they definitely love their widgets. I'll tell you that.
Widgets are awesome.
They are.
I want the Clippy back.
You want Clippy back?
Yeah.
All right.
That's my nostalgia. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So you're going to ask me about the browser?
Well,
Wait,
sure.
So read that. There you go.
Hey, Nathan.
Yes.
We have a lot of browsers out there on the market. What's your favorite?
There you go. Thank you, Mike. All right.
That's
well,
about the dumbest cue ever.
Well, let's talk about Safari, because Safari made a big bunch of changes into the UI. So first of all, Safari is known as, of course, Apple's browser.
Right.
So I'll tell you, after playing with their new iOS 15 upgrade, I now have a different browser. And we'll talk about that towards the end of it. Because what they did is they decided to take the URL bar. So in any browser, where's the URL bar located?
It's at the top.
It's at the top. They decided to put it at the bottom.
That's dumb.
So the idea is, I guess, when you're driving...
They just want to be different, don't they?
I guess the only thing I can think of is they said they want it to be a one-hand experience. So the idea is, if you're holding your phone here and you wanted to take a look at a URL, I guess it's easier to swipe up here than it is to go to the very top of your phone and bring it. So if you wanted to do a one-hand experience, I can see the idea of having the browser at the bottom. But no one's ever done that.
Okay.
You can't change it. So first of all, if you're going to come up with some new idea to have the browser at the bottom of your deal, why don't you come up with the ability to have that be the default that you want everybody to try, and then they can go on in and have an option to turn that off.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Oh, but they did not do that. So there's
iOS 15 sucks too.
So, well, no, I wouldn't say that. But over a decade, our muscle memory has trained our brains for the menu bar on smartphones,
Yes.
browsers, computers, always be the very top of the screen.
Yes.
So now we're going to have to rechange it.
Well,
And the
if
only
you're,
benefit
if you're
I
an
get-
Apple user, you have to.
Yeah, well, the only benefit you get from this is if you're driving down the road with one hand on the wheel and you want to look at pages. This is the only
And,
reason I would
yeah,
think
and
why
who-
you need
who-
one's hand. Why do
if
you need
you're
one hand?
doing that, you're not going to be doing that for very long.
No,
right?
you're not, because you're going to go
You're
through
gonna-
some
you're gonna-
windshield and you're going to be
you're gonna
not
fly through the windshield.
not taking care of it. All right, so the best part about this is that I have essentially removed Safari as a part of the process, and I loaded my favorite browser called Brave so that I can have that taken care of and earn crypto at the same time. So essentially, I removed Safari completely.
Okay.
Put it into a junk. I say junk I'll never use, and it now has an Apple app. Normally, it doesn't have Apple apps in it, but it now has Apple's primary internet connectivity
So
app.
we're at 0 for 3 for iOS 15,
Well, well, there's a lot of other things that is nice about this. They have multitasking, so let's talk about multitasking.
Okay, so yeah, the iPad OS has multitasking, right?
It does.
But isn't that something that it's always had?
It's had it for a while, yes.
It's just like Windows and its tiles and
So
whatever.
the idea is you can split the screen. And you can have one application running as the other application is. Now, I don't get why Apple tries to be so hard on this multitasking thing, because you never, on a phone, it's way too small to do that. There's no reason I'd ever want to have it. I'll just click and swipe to the app that I need to use.
Right.
And even if I have a great big iPad, I still have an app divided right in the half of screen between one and the other. Why don't I just tab through to that? I don't see any reason why you'd want to do that. If I wanted to use my iPad as a secondary monitor to my Mac that I have at home, I could set that up, and so I can just use that. But I don't get the whole idea of with multitasking. But they have improved it so that you now have the ability to split the screens and have it better for something that I will never use either.
Okay, I'm sure there's some serious Apple nerds will like this.
You know what?
Is there anything else that's noteworthy here?
Well, let's just talk about it. There's the split screen, the multitasking dots. There's the ability to maybe have the iOS to have a new zoom in feature into their 3D maps, but some of the stuff still isn't really available. And the global key view system is not working correctly right now on their new beta build. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Is this like Microsoft and Apple's version of the race to space for Jeff and all these other guys?
Yeah, well, it kind of is. I will say this, though. There was a lot of stuff that they kept the same in the iOS. So besides the browser, most of the stuff stayed the same. They added some great features in their weather department. So they purchased a company called Dark Sky, and now Dark Sky does their weather stuff for 10 days. So they added some company that they bought integration into the Core OS itself. It didn't change a lot, though, on the surface. So if you really look at it besides the browser, you probably aren't going to notice any of these real improvements. So at least they didn't change the whole operating system and say we're going to come out with something completely different. We just decided to change our browser to make it really difficult to use. So
All right.
I'm going to give it kind of a middle of the road. I don't think it's going to suck, but I don't think it's going to be the best that they could have done.
Okay, well, there's also that live text thing. What's that all about?
So the live text, the live text is a nice feature, and this is the ability if I decide to go on up and take a picture or something, and let's say we have the KKNW sign here, and I go and take a picture of it, or if I just put my camera up to it, it will transcribe the text so that it has that, so that I can send that to somebody else instead of having a huge brochure here where I got to take a picture and convert it to a PDF and then send it to somebody to see all the text that's in there. I can just put my phone up, look at the text that's available, and it will transcribe it for me to send it to somebody else. So that's really kind of cool.
Okay, I know in the past that those have been really difficult to function.
Correct.
Is this a
This works really seamless. This is
Okay.
exactly intended how probably the last 2 to 3 year people trying to do this should have done it itself. It does auto correction. It knows what type of sentence structure you're looking for. So it actually does a great job of translating the words themselves.
We're good. At least there's something good there.
That is. All right. Well, that goes through our review of iOS 15. Hopefully you got some information from that. And if not, then you can put that together as a back-end deal to take a look at the difference between Windows 11 and iOS 15?
This is going to be like, does anybody have a choice when they decide to roll this out?
Not really.
Not really.
Because you're going to want the security
get
updates.
Get used to your Earl bar being on the bottom.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. I will guarantee you that browser wars are excited about this because they got a chance to jump into this area and this mistake by Apple. But Apple could still, before it releases, allow an option to have it at the very top. And if they do that, then I think it's a winner. So I think they have a chance to still change it. All right, well, when we come on back from our break, we're going to head out for a break here. We're going to be talking about crypto carnage. Let's talk about crypto pump and dumps. Lots of technology information regarding crypto sites. We're going to give you a nugget that will allow you to know if your cryptocurrency that you're getting sent to you on YouTube or in email is a fake cryptocurrency
is less
or
fake
a
than
real.
all the other cryptocurrencies.
That's correct. All right, we'll see you guys right after the break.
Did you know that up to 12 to 15% of Americans grind their teeth at night while they sleep? Yeah, it's called bruxism. I used to work at a sleep lab, and we used to measure that, and it leads to a lot of problems like headaches and destroys your teeth. It wears down the enamel, and it's just very hard on your mouth.
So every once in a while I'll wake up, my jaw will hurt. Do you think that I'm grinding my teeth at night?
Yep.
Well, so how do you go about protecting this then?
The number one recommended way of protecting yourself from teeth grinding is what's called a night guard, which is a custom fitted prosthetic that you put inside your mouth. It usually runs, hundreds of dollars, but I know our sponsor, Smile Brilliant, can get you custom fitted night guards for as little as $45 a piece.
So if you go to smilebrilliant.com and use TechTime Radio at checkout, you can receive 20% off your complete order. So visit smilebrilliant.com and use the TechTime Radio at checkout code.
Did you have some whiskey during that break, Mike?
I did.
And how's it tasting?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
For rye whiskeys, this is really good.
It is really good. All right, well, we're going to need to move directly into our next segment.
Welcome to Crypto Carnage.
Yeah, that one.
There we go. Perfect. Crypto carnage. Let's talk about this. So billions are being pilfered annually through cryptocurrency scams.
No way.
We've talked about this before. Unfortunately, the way things are going, this is only going to go worse. So let's talk about this. Specifically, there are right now about 150 cryptocurrencies created each day.
How about that?
Because you know what? No one has any regulations on it. Nobody has any way to check it. No one has any way to verify
it's not real.
it. Correct. So we're going to talk about
it's a hustle.
It is a hustle. So you know what's great about this is that people call these. We're going to call these crap coins because there's a term in the industry which is a profanity word that rhymes with. Well, it doesn't rhyme with crap, but it's essentially the.
We all know what
S
word.
We
know what word.
All right,
it is.
there we go. So essentially, what this does is this makes Bitcoin look like solid gold because at least they have a algorithm, a process, stateability of when they're going to be no longer able to create coins, and all these other coins don't do that. So let's talk about a couple people. So we're going to talk about this individual. His name is Maximus because he doesn't want his persona to essentially be talked about online, but his real name is Glenn. But okay. So Maximus has this issue where he gets an email. It says that there's an opportunity for him to invest into a new cryptocurrency. He gets a Telegram, which Telegram is the big service to announce this information. It's a chat feature, but they talk about cryptocurrency on it all the time because they don't get banned from it. Some other areas, if you talk about cryptocurrency on like Facebook Messenger and other places, you can get triggered and you can get banned. So the talk's all about it. Essentially, he decided to invest in this new group called Safe Haven. All right? Safe Haven was an account that was opened up, and it started in the beginning of this year. It had pictures of Elon Musk, gifts. It had a lot of celebrities saying that they invested into this. And then all of a sudden, the account disappeared.
Bam.
And boom, the Twitter account hasn't had any updates since May 28th. Everybody that was a part of it got the rug pulled out on them. Says Titus, a 30-year-old butcher in Salem, Oregon. You know, you win some and you lose some. Hopefully, I'll win more than lose.
Yeah, listen to that. Hopefully
I'll win more than lose. This is
Stop investing in stupid
Yeah,
coins.
This is happening everywhere. It might sound like a joke, but cryptocurrency meltdowns are a thing to stay, and it's serious money. But if you take a look at it over the last 6, 12, and 18 months, the shenanigans are huge, and they all come from brokerage and other sites, and all of these cryptocurrency exchanges decide that they want to be the biggest and best, so they have all of these available for you to purchase. But then all of a sudden, what's called the good old pump and dump, all of a sudden the cryptocurrency disappears. You don't hear from the person. All of a sudden your cryptocurrency has a value of 50 cents, and all of a sudden it gets pulled off a cryptocurrency market, and you can't sell what you have available because that cryptocurrency didn't necessarily exist.
No, but somebody got your money.
So this is kind of like a murder mystery on the Orient Express, because you never know who did it or who took it away. So you have the swindlers and you have the swindlees, essentially the people that decided to rip off the individuals by creating a fake cryptocurrency, and you have the people that decided to invest. Now, if you talk with Maximus, he says, you know what? He's going to keep on investing into this because he's been successful in a couple of his cryptocurrencies, and he's just waiting for the next big one to hit. It's going to be a Bitcoin or something else.
Yeah.
Now, all of these crap coins essentially all start the same way. Mass market, mass Twitter, mass people. They have other influencers saying that they're excited about it. Everybody believes in it because they want to have the FOMO. And what does that stand for?
Fear of missing out.
The fear of missing out, which lures everybody in to decide to be a part of this. But let me tell you, there is a way in an app that was created over a year and a half ago that you can actually find out if this is legit. If you go to tokensniffer.com, again, that's tokensniffer.com, you can actually take a look and see all the new cryptocurrencies that have started. And they have a specific area called the latest scams and hacks. They review cryptocurrencies algorithms that essentially they're talking about. They verify if the person is legitimately in the tech field. They verify Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and do background for you for free. So if you're getting information that's being sent to you, you don't have to think that this will be the next greatest thing without doing a little bit of research. If you're going to be spending $50 to $100, you can spend at least 3 minutes by going and taking a look at tokensniffer.com. Now, I have no affiliates with Token Sniffer. I'm not getting any money from them.
Right.
I did not even know about them until about a month and a half ago. And so I wanted to have a segment that we could talk about it. But they have the ability to do a smell test. Not always 100% sure, but they spend the first 30 days of their periods of evaluating a new cryptocurrency.
Like consumer reports.
It's like a consumer reports where they'll spend 30 days seeing if this is actually going to be legitimate or if it has the telltale signs of being a failure and not being legitimate itself. So let me just tell you one thing. You're going to be investing in a cryptocurrency you've never heard of before. Please take a look at that site so that you can do the smell test to see if it's legit. All right, well, with that, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come on back, we got Mike's mesmerizing moment.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from the Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in business management, accounting, and finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating when you purchase other items from other businesses. Never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit the Business Doctor today.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
So I just found out that 4.4 million people started business last year in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, I know. I was one of them. And I bet a whole bunch of those were e-commerce businesses.
That's right. A lot of them are growing so quickly now that they can't keep up with orders. This happened to someone I know. They started a business on Etsy. Then they moved to Amazon, and they're crushing it, and they make stickers. Pretty soon, they had too much inventory in their house. They were packing everything themselves, printing postage, going to the post office all the time, and they actually ended up spending more time with the labor work than they did producing stickers.
Yeah, it's a big waste of time if you're running your own business.
Absolutely. But I do have good news. You don't have to ship your own orders if you run an online store. Fulfill Right can take care of your order fulfillment for you, saving you time, money, and stress. That means more time doing what you love.
Really? Delegating grunt work like shipping to someone you can trust is the secret to business success. Fulfill Right is the most trusted name in order fulfillment. The reviews back the statement up too. Fulfill Right has 5 stars on Shopify, Google reviews, and Trustpilot from over 100 businesses just like your buddies.
Yep. Wow. I'm going to go to fulfillright.com right now, and I'm going to ask for a quote, but I'm going to use the special TechTime link, which is fulfillright.com/TechTime. That's fulfillright.com/TechTime. They're offering $100 off new signups for TechTime listeners. You get a lot when you sign up from these guys. Service includes same-day shipping, real-time order and inventory tracking, dedicated customer service, and volume-based discount.
You know, that sounds like a great way to get your time back if your business is really taking off. To learn more about how Fulfill Right can grow your business, go to fulfillright.com/TechTime for $100 off when you sign up.
I'm signing up today. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Guess what? Our favorite sponsor's back.
Oh, it's the puzzle dude from Unidragon.
That's right, Unidragon. Yep, Unidragon.com. They have a brand new item. It's called the Playful Parrot. It's a 5-in-1 puzzle that comes on out that actually comes all the way up to the brand new size, which is the royal size. Now they're small, medium, king size, and royal size. So you can get 7 times bigger than the standard puzzle. What do you think about the Playful Parrots? Being a pirate adventurer that you are, Mike, what say you?
Oh, the owl's jealous.
The owl's jealous? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's the owl saying about the parrots?
Oh, there's 5 of them and 1 of him.
That's right. That's what happens. You know what? When you're the original, sometimes you get replaced and upgraded. So if you want to get upgraded in your puzzles, now's the time to go to Unidragon.com. Again, that's Unidragon.com. Don't be fooled by other imitation puzzle makers. Only get your true puzzle from Unidragon.com. They're the best, and they're the world's leader in wooden puzzles. Tech Time listeners, use promo code DRAGONTECH. Again, that's DRAGONTECH for a 10% discount code. Discount expires on August 1st, 2021. They're no longer 3 sizes, Mike. Guess how many there are now?
They're 4 sizes.
That's right. They're 4 sizes. Make sure to visit techtimeradio.com/sponsors and click on the Order Now button to go directly to Unidragon. Our #1 sponsor says thank you, and the owl is jealous. This is Mike's Mesmerizing Moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
So we're talking about this cryptocurrency stuff, and it really brought some things to my attention the way you were talking about it, and this might be a problem for gambling addiction.
Okay.
Because one of the problems with gambling addiction is that we get caught up in the next big payout.
Yep.
Right. So that's how this happens. We are experiencing dopamine shots as we win these little pieces, and it gives us that complete and utter control of the next big payout.
So you think that's why people are jumping in these $50 and $100
price
points for these cryptocurrency?
Yeah, some of the stuff a lot of those quotes really kind of brought up some of that stuff. Like, I hope I win big next time.
Yep.
Right. So that's a classic gambling thing.
So it's an unregulated gambling process, right?
So this is potentially a big problem for people with addiction or addictive personalities, because they win some here and they lose some, and they just keep pouring money into that, trying to get that. And then you mentioned FOMO, which is fear of missing out, and that's not a complete psychological thing, but we do have this need as human beings that we don't want to miss out on things, and our technology just really feeds that all the time. So coupling that with the payout process and the thing, you can see how this is a problem.
And now there's these
gambling.
cryptocurrency exchanges that open up every 2 days, and there's somebody new from eToro to this
yeah,
place.
so
to this
I'm going
place.
to so if I'm really into this, if I'm really caught by this gambling starter, I'm going to just jump on them.
That makes sense.
Without thinking. That's why they don't do the research.
That makes sense. All right, so let's get to our pick of the day. We have our Dark Northern Reserve Rye Whiskey. What do you think here, Mike? Are you going to give a thumbs up or not?
I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
All right, 2 thumbs up. This is great stuff. 91 proof, $54 a bottle. You can get it at Wines and More and all those other places online. What we got coming on up, you have your NFT there. You want to show the NFT? Coming up on our second hour, we have our letter segment. We have week's email scams and funny phishing attempts. We have Nick Espinoza from Security Fanatics. And we got a Nathan Nugget about Microsoft. I'm Nathan Mumm. We got Microday and David Brown. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/TechTimeRadio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the...
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you been thinking about buying a house but are unsure of where to start?
You know, I have been, but it's kind of a complex process.
First Time Home Buying Basics will take a possible complex and confusing process and make it a breeze. Arizona residential real estate broker Josh Madison will guide you through the step-by-step process, as he has with over hundreds of other clients in the last 20 years. Josh wrote this book in a short, simple, easy-to-read format of less than 100 pages. 2021 is a whole new real estate market. So before you hand over any of your valuable information, call in realtors or even mortgage brokers, check out First Time Home Buying Basics and cover your assets. Available now in paperback or ebook form. Buy now by clicking on the TechTime Radio link /sponsors and look for First Time Home Buying Basics on your Amazon Market. You can also purchase this through the website at madisonmarkets.com. That's madisonmarkets.com. Get your first time home buying experience basics today. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you heard of the highbrow drivel?
No, but it sounds smarty pants to me.
Highbrow drivel delivers hilarious takes from serious experts. Every week, comedian Anthony Janot introduces one of his comedian friends to an academic, scientist, politician, or expert of some kind.
Oh yeah? And what do they do?
Over the course of roughly an hour, the group will offer thought-provoking topics, expert guests, and hilarious commentation.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Host Anthony Janot is critically acclaimed stand-up comedian who has sold out shows in Australia, England, Scotland, Sweden, and more. But we're talking specifically about his podcast now called The Highbrow Drivel. Topics range from ethics and artificial intelligence to astronomy and dinosaurs.
Really? Oh, I love dinosaurs. Do they talk about owls?
Every week, it's a new comedian, a new expert, but the same highbrow drivel. Highbrow Drivel is available on all major podcast players and at www.highbrowdrivel.com. Again, that's www.highbrowdrivel.com.
Yeah, that sounds like smart nonsense. Can't wait to listen.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from the Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in business management, accounting, and finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating on when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit the Business Doctor today.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest. Keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side. With leading edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mum.
Welcome. Hey, here and David
we're
Brown
back
in the studio. This is hour 2 of our show.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that?
I'm relaxed.
You're relaxed. That whiskey got you.
Where'd
in the
the
first
whiskey
hour.
go?
Well, the whiskey. So I replaced it with a marketing item. You can buy just what you ever wanted. When you are out in the woods and you need water to drink, nothing like having a 6-inch TechTime Radio logo on your bottle of your water.
I'm thinking that if you watch TechTime Radio, you're probably not going to be in the woods.
You're probably not going to be in the woods. That's
Yeah.
that's probably right.
You need to have this by your gaming console.
Oh, by your game. I should have
There
said
you go.
that.
There
By the
you go.
gaming
See?
console. There
You're
we
not
go.
thinking.
So we're doing pirate.
You're not thinking.
We're doing pirate extravaganzas on our Sea of Thieves. I should have that right next to me. So I
That's
can drink
right.
that.
That's your, and it shouldn't be full of the whiskey that you were pre-tasting earlier,
The Dark Northern Reserve Rye, which got 2 thumbs
which
up.
is really good.
It's really good. 91 proof.
And it's really really potent.
That's right. So this should be a great hour here.
That's
All
right.
right. Well, hopefully you're catching our show from 4 to 6 p.m. on Saturday live. We're excited to see you here. If you're catching it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6, or Sunday, you're catching a rebroadcast.
Captain Obvious.
All right, so there you go. You know what? I enjoy saying that. That's becoming a little bit of my tagline, like a little whiskey on the side and a couple other things that we do. So we
people
are
on the street go, hey, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
That's right. All right. So hopefully we are a technology show, 2 hours that talks about technology for the everyday common person, talking about technology stories that are breaking the news and some subjects ahead of the mainstream media. So on hour 2, we are packed. We got our letter segment, and our letter segment's going to be a little bit different. We're going to take turns reading email spams. I'm getting so many. And we have our first edition of a physically mailed letter scam to me.
That's awesome.
Specifically on technology on domain sites.
Snail mail.
So that's
snail mail letter.
Yeah, so it's perfect. And then we have Nick Espinoza up from Security Fanatics. He's going to be talking to us about a security breach that is shaking up the managed service providers of IT services to small companies. This is very scary. And the IT security world is all up in arms. This could actually be more scarier than the SolarWinds breach that we talked about on the impact of what this did. And I actually have a letter that I'm going to read from a provider that essentially sent it out to everybody that used their services that said, guess what, best of luck to you.
Out for 5 days, right?
Yeah, best of luck to you. We're not going to be able to provide you any support at all. All right. Then after that, we have a Nathan Nugget. We're going to be talking about Microsoft and the Nathan Nugget. Yeah, I'm a former employee of the company. So
I see that liquor was
did
well for you too.
I got to make sure I pronunciate very well on this
Pronunciate.
show.
That's right. You need to pronunciate really well.
Very well.
Worked for you, didn't it?
That's right. On the second hour with a little bit of whiskey. All right. So during this hour, we hope that you guys will have an opportunity to go enjoy our technology show that we have. Share it with friends. Ideally, if we could get you to go to Apple iTunes and rate us. We need to get rated. We need to have a bunch of ratings. I can't keep on logging in as myself and rating it.
We just bagged all over.
So iTunes, I know.
We just bagged all
Apple's
over
gonna be all
Apple
like, what are you doing?
iOS 15. What?
Well, I didn't bag on Apple iOS 15. I just said having the URL on Safari down at the very bottom is the worst place to have it. So
a little too late.
Okay, all right. All right, we have 2 hours. I'm your host, Nathan Mum. Again, if you would like to give us a call, you can absolutely do that at 425-373-5527 or 1-888-298-KKNW-5569. We'll put you on the show. Let's start out, though, with reading our Love Shack question. Again, Love Shack is on KKNW Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. And
yes.
You were a guest on their last show.
Yes.
How'd that go? What did you guys talk about?
Perfect. We talked about lying. And, not. It was supposed to be related to relationships, but we talked about lying in general a lot of times.
He was nicknamed the lie detector by the host, by the way.
Oh, the lie detector host. Okay.
Yeah, like you call me the lie to me guy.
Yeah, the lie to me guy.
They were calling me the lie detector.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of funny.
You like that? Because everybody assumes, well, and you kind of do. You kind of like judge people when they're talking and see if they're honest.
I suppose it works, but when we think about those types of people, they're looking for people who can detect lies within a small amount of time. I don't do that.
Okay. All right, well, here's our conversational question.
All right,
David's on the mic.
Yeah, okay.
What was your favorite hobby when you were a kid? Oh, I like this one.
That's a good one.
I got one. Okay, what was your favorite hobby?
When I was a kid,
yeah,
I really wanted to be a special effects guy.
Okay.
And so I got a lot of books about special effects back in the 70s.
Okay.
And so I would sit around and create models out of stuff like paper plates and light bulbs and things like that, because I wanted to be a special effects guy. So I was learning how to do all that kind of stuff.
All right.
By building models out of everyday common household items.
And that was a passion of yours?
It was for a while. I mean, I have a lot of interest, so it didn't last long, obviously, because I'm not in special effects now. I'm a human behavior expert, so that shows.
Maybe that's special effects in some ways, right?
It's like, yeah, some people think I'm psychic sometimes.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they think I can read minds.
I just call you my partner in crime for my pirating on Sea of Thieves. So that's what we got. All right, David, we're gonna go to you next.
Oh, a little more simpler now. I just basically collected baseball and even football cards too when I was younger.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say, David. Oh no.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, so did you? Because we're about the same age, right? So
Yeah, I think we're like a year apart.
yeah. So did you collect a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of
old
Ken
guy.
Griffey Jr. and a bunch of stuff? Who was your best guy that you collected?
Without going back, I don't know, but I remember collecting a lot of the Mariners back in the day.
Back in the day. Do you still have the cards now?
Yeah, they're somewhere at home. I came across them not too terribly long ago.
So I've gone through a process in the last
I know
3
you're
months.
always cataloging.
So I'm cataloging them and sending them out to PSA to get them rated soon, so I can get my cards taken care of.
Okay.
So I guess my hobby is going to be, when I was a little kid, I used to collect ants.
Just ants.
Ants. So what I
You
do
weren't
is,
the bug guy. You were collecting bug. You were
well,
just collecting
here's what I
ants?
did. I would go on out with Scotch tape from my dad, and I would see live ants that would be on the ground, and then I would collect the ants, and I would fold the Scotch tape over them so that I could see them. And then if I ran out of Scotch tape, then I'd have to use masking tape. And then I would collect them, and I would put them in jars in a little tackle box that I had, and then I had a whole collection of ants.
Did you have just a bunch of the same ants?
I don't ever remember, but I remember I thought I was so cool, and I took them to
that's not
school,
cool, dude.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that.
I took them to school one day. I remember Liberty Elementary. I took them to school, and
And
kids
how
are,
long did you stay at school that day?
so they were all trading. It was at that time it was Laffy Taffies. Like that was the thing. So you'd have
Yeah.
Laffy Taffies, and so you have a Laffy Taffy, or maybe you get like a garbage pail kid. And I showed up one day with ants, and I said, "Let's start trading ants." And people looked at me like, "Dude, these are dead."
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, "Well, no, they're not. They're kind of just live. They're just
No, they're
not
dead.
moving."
You suffocated them in
So-
in freaking Scotch tape.
All right,
dude.
that was my hobby. All right, well,
I
let's-
remember I collected bugs for a while when
Did
you would throw them in a jar with alcohol and it would kill them, and then you pin them to a board. I know that's horribly inhumane nowadays, but that's what we did back then.
Okay, that's what the Arizona kids did.
Well, science-oriented people do that still.
Well, okay. Well, the ants was kind of all right. All right. Well, let's continue on our episodes.
How did you just go and just stick them?
Yeah. So they'd be
Did you
walking around.
Did you just hang around an anthill for like a couple hours till you ran out of Scotch tape?
Yeah, that's exactly what I
Like,
did.
oh, these are the Pacific Northwest black ant here.
They were all
I
the
only
same
have
ants.
like 500 of them.
Now it makes it sound kind of funny, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay. All right. Let's get this episode
You need to
started.
come to Arizona and get the rare velvet ant.
Okay. We're gonna start with our first segment right now. Is one of our favorites.
Yeah, that's right.
We get letters. We get back and back of letters. Ah, letters. We get letters. And the letters all have songs.
Oh,
All right,
that's
so
such an
so
awesome
this is
thing.
what we're gonna do in letters. We're gonna change it up just a little bit. I'm gonna read a subject. You're gonna read a subject. I'm gonna read a subject, and we can kind of talk back and forth.
Okay.
to them. I'm gonna start out first. From I got an email here sent to Nathan Mum from Home Depot, but the email address is 382support@proofserve.com. So I don't think that's necessarily Home Depot. But you know what? Congratulations. Only 48 remain. And if I take a look at the picture here, I can win myself a loyalty program for free. And this is what I get from Home Depot. Take a look at this picture. It's essentially,
Hey,
it's nothing to do with Home Depot. It's
you get
man enhancement.
testosterone, you get
So I get a watch and some man enhancement areas from Home Depot.
need
I
some male-
appreciate
What section's that in?
yeah, that's in the the male improvement section. I
the
guess.
Home
I
Depot.
will
That's
have to check
home-
that out.
back to the far right. Take a
Oh,
corner.
wow, David.
All right. Okay. You're up next with the next letter.
Okay. This one is from Coinbase, and it's capital COINBA capital SE
Okay.
from SecMail ID dot excellent notification 148. Excellent is spelled wrong.
Okay.
At VEWRBRE.com.
Oh, so it really sounds legitimate from Coinbase.
It totally doesn't.
Okay,
at
all right.
And then it says Coinbase in the letterhead, and it's spelled with a C0IN. Hi, customer. Your Coinbase has need recover.
Has need recover.
Yes. Yes. And that
Has need recover.
all your base are belong to us. You remember that one?
Yes.
Okay. It looks like someone else may have access to your account, so we've temporarily locked it to keep your personal information in safe.
In
sync.
Okay.
To unlock your account, you may need to pass a security check. Note that attempting to access someone else is a violation of Coinbase terms. It may also be illegal.
See, and you're just reading it directly from the. This is how these are, right,
yeah,
people?
That's right. This is the first time I've read it. So, to unlock your account, unlock your account access, please enter the link below. It's got a sign-in button. As always, if you have any question about these updates, please feel free to contact our legal team, capital L, capital T, directly, and we'll be happy to help.
All right.
So Coinbase is going to help you out.
With my account that's locked.
Your Coinbase has need recovery.
All right. So the next one. So this is a unique one, and I'm showing it here on the camera. And if you can't see it, this is actually, you can see that I retaped this. This was an actual letter sent to me in the mail.
That's awesome.
So and I ripped it up and threw it away. And then I said, you know what? For our letter segment, I'm actually going to read it. So this is a domain registry deal. I actually own this domain that it's talking about. But essentially, they sent me an item to have my domain renewed for $190. Now, I can do it through GoDaddy, where the domain is actually hosted at, and get it renewed for $21 or $19.
How much was that one?
So $190.
Oh, wow.
$190. So I guess they're going to give me premier service.
I suppose
now,
so.
if you actually take a look and get down to chapter 3 of this huge document, you see that this is not a bill. It's rather an easy means of payment should you decide to switch your domain registry to our domain registry.
Oh.
So what we're going to do is, if I actually pay them the $190, they're going to go and then be a liaison to go to GoDaddy, which I'm still going to have to type in passcodes and allow them to transfer it over. But I would have automatically paid them $190 to do what I can do for
free,
or for $20 to renew it for a year. So anybody that has a domain site that gets anything in the mail from a domain registry, understand that you should always log into your own local domain registry to renew your domain and not fall for a printed, which I ripped up because I said, what a scam.
And don't let your domain expire.
Well, if it expires, worst comes to worst, I'm still not going to pay $190 for it. I mean, I have to pay an additional $10.
I had a domain that expired and somebody else bought it and they wanted to sell it to me.
Oh, they sell it to you back, right?
Yeah.
So I've done that too, where I let domains
go
by.
You can keep it.
F
you.
That's right. Since you bought it, it's now yours.
Yeah.
I didn't renew it for a reason. All right, you're up next with the letter.
All right, so this one's funny.
Yep.
From Bank of America.
Okay. And I don't even bank with Bank of America.
No, but wait. This is going to get better.
Okay.
So the address is capital G, capital L, little W, capital N, capital V, capital K, little q at trustalliancetech.com.
Oh, Trust Alliance is now Bank of America.
But
yeah,
the logo here is Banks for America.
Oh, Banks for America. So it's not quite the same as Bank of America.
It's not Bank of America. It's Banks for America.
It does actually have that. I didn't even realize that when I put it. And what do I get if I sign up with them?
You get a promotional $90 reward if you take part in our marketing survey. Tell us about your banking experience, and we will offer you an exclusive offer worth $90 or more. Get started now.
From Bank of America with the logo.
Banks for America.
And take that $90 to Home Depot, right?
That's right. To buy men's products.
Right. And we have an expert that has told us where to find that.
Where's that?
It's in the wood section.
It's in the wood section. Oh, somebody on Twitch.
That's right.
There you go. All right. Okay. Well, this is the end of our letter segments. We can go on. We have another
Sorry about my email. I hate my email.
That's right. So we have more that we could go on with, and we could do just a whole segment of these because these are hilarious. But the big part of a reminder to everybody listening is do not click on any links. Do not fill anything out.
Don't share your information.
Don't share your information on any of these emails. Go to the site that you have that information available at. Log in at a trusted site that you know of. Don't go to a PayPal link. Go to paypal.com if you need to go there, and make sure you're actually at the site. Don't trust your email. No one is sending you information that your accounts are expired. They're going to do everything they can to inform you correctly on how to do this. But up next, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest breaches ever in the MSP world, the managed service provider world, so a world that I was a part of for about 5 years. 7 years ago. So I actually worked at a managed service provider for a bit. And we have our expert from Security Fanatic, Nick Espinoza, that will be on the show. So let's take a commercial break and we'll come right back with him.
Upper Left Corner is a PNW true crime podcast now streaming on all major podcast platforms. If you get excited when your favorite true crime podcast tells a story about a place that you've been to or the town that you live in, then Upper Left Corner podcast is for you. Each week, I tell you a story of a crime that has taken place in the PNW and give you background about the town the crime occurred in. If you like true crime, check out Upper Left Corner podcast, now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and more.
Ace Hardware is a helpful place with prompt, friendly service, knowledge, and the little things that make a big difference.
Service.
Selection.
Advice.
Community involvement.
Competitive prices.
Convenience.
Located near you.
And the things you need, such as
house keys,
lawn and garden,
plumbing,
electrical,
hardware,
grills,
outdoor living supplies,
and even nuts and bolts.
When you visit Ace Hardware, you'll be greeted at the door and given the help you need.
So come visit us at Ace Hardware in Evergreen Way in Everett, Lake Stevens, and now Stanley.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Welcome back to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. I'm your host. If you want to join us on the show, you can always jump on the phone at 425-373-5527.
Do you think Ace has a section there too?
With a spam email? No, not from our spam sponsor. No, our Lake Stevens and Everett and everybody.
Ace is the place for a helpful hardware
person. It's now person. It used to be man, and now it's person. So absolutely. So we're going to talk about security breach. We're going to bring Nick Espinoza up again. Nick is the CEO and owner of Security Fanatics. He also serves as a TED speaker and serves on many boards, including the Forbes Technology Council. But here I'm going to start out the segment as you bring him up. I'm going to read an email that I received from a MSP provider. I'm not going to say their name though, because that would be bad. Sorry. So I'm not. So blank is closely watching the progress and the incident that reported by Kaseya. As of this time, we are unable to provide remote monitoring and any services for your IT company. It has been confirmed that there are several signature and ransomware items that Kaseya has identified as being a part of a campaign. Out of abundance of caution for our partners, we have taken the preventative measure to block all traffic from the Kaseya VSA cloud and essentially shut down all remote services and IT services for your company. We appreciate your understanding and understand that this could cause problems with your current network or IT services. We do not currently have a time of when this will be resolved, but we'll keep you notified as times change.
Wow, this is
and this is an MSP provider.
This is where they remote into your computer to remotely do stuff.
So this is a company. About? Yeah. So this is a company that's in charge of at least 50 small businesses that essentially said, guess what? Hopefully your internet's working. Hopefully you have no issues, but we are essentially offline, and they were offline for 5 days. They have not come back up, and we are not able to provide you any IT services remotely. Hopefully things work for you and you don't have to use us during this time and you're kind of on your own, and best of luck.
That sucks, man.
That if you're an IT provider, that is not something you want to send out, and absolutely something that shouldn't be taken care of. So let's now bring on our security expert, Nick Espinoza. Nick, thank you for joining the show.
This is a segment we call Ask the Experts.
All right, so the first question we have for Nick is, what whiskey is he drinking today?
Well, we say hi, Nick.
Well, hi, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, I just need to know the whiskey. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, what whiskey are you drinking?
That's right. I need to know because Nick has good whiskey.
Yeah, well, and I think this week is no different at all in the sense that this was actually said to me by my friend Kevin in San Francisco. It's called Legend. And what it is it's actually a blend of Kentucky whiskey and Japanese whiskey as well. Kevin is a Japanese whiskey expert, and he sent this to me as a thank you for a project I've been working on with him in cybersecurity, and it is fantastic. I don't know where he finds these things, but I also know he has stuff imported from Japan as well. So it's
I know. David, could you got a pen? You got a pen or pencil?
Write it down.
Hey, we're writing this down right now. Okay, here we go.
It is awesome.
All right, so here's my pen. Here we go. What is the name? It's called Legend. out
Legent. Here, can you see that?
Legent. ENT.
On the screen
Okay,
there?
I got it.
Yeah.
Yep, I do
Yeah.
see that. All right, perfect. Okay.
So awesome. Totally recommend it.
All right. Well,
we'll have to have that on.
We'll have to add it. So we just had a real good a dark
Just
northern reserve.
Send it to me. I won't pre-taste it.
What's that? You won't pre-taste it? I'm gonna. You know what, Nick? I'm gonna send you a bottle that we had today. It's a Pacific Northwest deal, and it is fantastic.
It's very good.
Nice. I'll send that to you. Thank you for being a part of the show. So here's what we got. On July 2nd at 2 p.m., Kaseya announced a potential attack against its IT services to a small number of on-premise customers. As Kaseya's incident response team investigated, the vendor had decided to proactively shut down its software as a service servers and pull its data center offline. I already read you the letter, so explain to me, how problematic was this attack?
This is insanely problematic. I mean, this, to be perfectly honest, as you mentioned, IT support companies or managed service providers, also known as MSPs, this is a bomb dropping in their world. Kaseya was very widely used. It's not the only player, so I know there's a lot of MSPs that are, I'm glad I'm not on them. But for those companies that were using Kaseya, it's a huge, huge problem. And Kaseya is heavily used in small to mid-sized businesses. Basically, the larger organizations use things like SolarWinds Orion and other products as well. And the problem with that is that many MSPs tend to use mid-range defensive products, meaning the small businesses and mid-sized businesses don't have the threat detection capabilities as the larger corporations do. And so by virtue of that, when you've got a centralized access like Kaseya has, you're essentially installing it onto every computer and server so that you can manage it. As that letter just said, you're using it to update things, install things, remove things, troubleshoot things, all that kind of stuff. It is also given administrative access, or God mode, into the system, which means it has very intimate access, and there are not many things that are going to be able to slow that down, which means if you're getting ransomware through that thing, it is a massive, massive problem. But this was a bomb dropping. We're looking at hundreds of potential MSPs, thousands of clients. Last I heard, it was climbing to around 2,000 disclosed, and that's just disclosed, not on top of everything else. So it's a huge, huge problem that we've got right now.
And so I really think there's a lot more people that we're not hearing about. So
Yes.
I'll just say that as a security.
I know that for a
expert.
fact. I know that for a fact. I was contacted by a company that is not disclosed in any way, shape, or form, freaking out about this, and they're actually on the larger side, needing help for remediation from this, because they use Kaseya obviously to manage their network, and yeah, they're like, we're gonna excise this, and they're still formulating that game plan to disclose. So yeah, this is going to be basically, for months we are going to find these companies that have to disclose that they got hit with this.
So this happened on July 2nd. It's July 10th today, and still the numbers are coming on out. So this is something, again, that's going to be really hidden in the back end, and you're going to have a small company of 5 or 6 people that you may not ever hear about or report about it because they're so small, and they shut down the IT services, and you know what? Maybe they can continue to run and they get it taken care of at a later time. But this is impacting a lot more in the small business world than you would imagine.
And understand too, statistically, small to mid-sized businesses, a lot of times ransomware is a life-ending event for the company.
Yeah.
Meaning you're locked out. You haven't had good backup disaster recovery plans or contingency plans like larger corporations, and you can't really afford to pay the ransom. Revil, the group behind this, is going after Kaseya for $70 million, to basically unscrew like every company on the planet. They got hit with this. One of the largest supermarket chains, for example, I think it was in Norway or Sweden, they have like 700 locations, completely had to shut their doors. They couldn't allow people in because their entire point of sale system was hit and completely locked out from this. So it's a global issue, although Kaseya tends to be more in North America and the United States than anywhere else.
All right, so my next question: how was this virus pushed out? Right.
Yeah.
So how did this actually happen in itself?
So it's actually really interesting, and it really parallels some of the other attacks that we've seen before. But the delivery of ransomware was via an automated fake software update using Kaseya VSA, or Virtual System Administrator. Now, the attackers temporarily stop administrator access to the VSA. Then they add a task called, and this is literally what it's called, Kaseya VSA Agent Hotfix. And so it looks legitimate to any IT person. Oh, it's a hotfix that Kaseya is pushing through or something along those lines. This fake update was then deployed across the MSPs, VSAs, and then pushed out to all of their customers, those MSPs that were affected. And we also know that the larger MSPs out there were the ones that they went after first. So those that are attached to larger corporations that are servicing, like a major distributor of electronics and computers and equipment has an MSP wing, they got hit because they've got a large customer base. So it's a huge problem. Now, this update masquerades as a fake management agent update. So just like SolarWinds, that entire situation at a glance, as I mentioned, it looks legit. And then this management update ends up actually being the Revil ransomware. And so that's a huge problem. But to be clear, though, this means that organizations are not actually Kaseya's customers that are mostly getting hit. Overwhelmingly, the customers that are getting hit are the customers of the MSPs, and the MSP is the customer of Kaseya. And so this is like the quintessential supply chain hack, but it's on a massive scale. And it's spectacular in its size, to be perfectly honest. It's just damning to multiple MSPs out there. Like I said, this is going to be life-ending events. We're going to hear stories about that. I would put money on it.
So is this more like an attempt to grab a smash and grab for smaller companies with all this collateral damage not being part of the idea you made?
No, I wouldn't call it a smash and grab. And the reason being is that Revil is known for taking their time, picking the right targets, and then hitting in mass. You will note that they are not going to all of these small, like thousands of small businesses saying, you owe me 10,000, you owe me 20,000. They went to Kaseya and basically said, we just screwed your entire customer base to unscrew 70 million. That is a spectacular, number. That's a huge ransom, to pay. And so by virtue of that, if you look at other Revil targets, they're typically going after the massive corporations where they have essentially done their reconnaissance. They figured out a way in, they get in, they go dormant. They set up everything that they want. They copy out the data that they want to copy out, and then they hit you basically in a very coordinated effort. So there is no smash and grab with Revil, but it seems like that because what we're seeing is just all of these small to mid-sized businesses popping up saying, yeah, me too, me too, me too. It's a huge problem.
So essentially by targeting Kaseya, and there's like 3 or 4 other remote management tools. Continuum has a product that people use for this mid-level type of deal. They have not been breached yet, and I've worked with Continuum. I would expect them probably to be breached sooner than later also. But this MSP provider essentially goes to this company and says, we want to be able to remote manage our customers.
Right.
We want to push out updates. We want to make sure that their environment is running correctly. We trust you, Kaseya, because you're a big company. You say you have security in place. As a small business managed service provider, which normally are $1 to $5 million companies, so they're not that big of a large company. They'll reach like another 50 customers, right? So you go to Kaseya, and then this MSP gets breached. Well, now all of a sudden, this MSP is breached, and their 50, 60 customers are then affected by that. And any customers that those people would have had, like dentist offices or any of these smaller businesses, now they're affected at the same time too, and sometimes shut down, and they can't do anything. So that dentist down the street may have a "I'm closed right now" sign because his IT imaging software
this seems like a more malicious attack
absolutely
than
absolutely
a normal one.
So also, all cyber attacks are malicious, in that sense. But I think it's important to understand that MSPs or RMMs, remote managed, monitoring, like this is what Kaseya is essentially doing. These kinds of platforms are targets 24/7, 365, for attackers like Revil. And the reason being is that if you can break into that MSP, which probably has, as I mentioned before, low to moderate security, a lot of them do not invest in enterprise threat detection technologies for themselves, let alone pass that along to their clients. It's a huge problem because as you are basically, let's say, managing those 50 customers, those 100, 200, 300 customers, you're basically storing all of their usernames and passwords, administrative access, all of these things. And so as we centralize to basically make it very, very easy to manage, that also opens up risk in the sense that if we hit the centralization, we can hit everything in one shot that is being managed underneath that umbrella. And that's essentially what we're seeing here. SolarWinds previously was a spectacular, example of that as well. So So it's a huge, huge problem that we have overall as we are looking at this. But understand that, if you're running an MSP, if you're running pretty much any business, you're going to be targeted. But if you're running a Kaseya, or as Nathan mentioned, there's Continuum and there's Automate, and there's a whole bunch of these out there that cater to these small MSPs. These are all being targeted right now. I mean, there's no doubt about that whatsoever, which means they really have to be upping their game. And you would hope that Continuum would see what Kaseya is going through and be like, yeah, we don't want to be them. It's time to audit. It's time to upgrade. It's time to review our security practices, which you hope they're doing on a regular basis anyway. But oftentimes, as I've said before, what we are doing is taking these people on their at their word. We are trusting that their assurances are actually, that they can put their money where their mouth is. And I think that's one of those things that needs to change. And it's looking like that may be coming down the pipe here from the government. So we'll see where that goes.
All right. So real quick, before we go to a commercial break, tell us a little bit about the hacker group, Revil.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be clear, real quick, we don't know if they are state sponsored or not.
Correct.
I think that's an important distinction, because a lot of people say, oh, they're state sponsored by Russia and all of that. And if they were state sponsored, the logical choice would be Russia. But it's difficult to pinpoint their exact location. But all given intelligence and indicators of compromise, basically, we believe, the cybersecurity community believes that they are actually based in Russia. Russia tends to give safe harbor to these groups. But Revil has never hit or targeted a Russian organization or organizations in the former Soviet bloc countries. And so by virtue of that, there's this understanding of, okay, given their tactics, given their indicators of compromise, we believe they're based in Russia because they're not attacking any of these countries that would be giving them that safe harbor. So with that, Revil's been a major player in what we call double extortion ransomware. And I swear to God, like not a week goes by where I am not mentioning them on my Breaches of the Week video and podcast, like every Sunday. Like they are always in the news, hitting something. So Revil is rather ambitious. They actually run what's known as a ransomware as a service enterprise that first came to prominence basically in April of 2019 after Grand Crab, which is another ransomware gang, basically just kicked the bucket. Now, the Revil group is also known as Sodin or Sodobiki. So if you see that, we're actually talking about Revil as well. It depends on who is tagging them. They actually gained their reputation for attempting to extort larger payments from their corporate victims that basically hadn't been seen in other typical attacks. Everybody was going after grandma for like $300, $500. These guys came in and started really scoping out organizations and saying, no, we want 5 million. And that really changed the game, from ransomware starting a couple of years ago or so. So essentially what they do is they steal the information from you and then lock it out. And then basically they threaten to release that data, essentially auctioning it off on what they call their leak site. It's actually called Happy Blog, if you can believe that. It's called Happy Blog. We track it daily, and so basically, if you have good backups and you can restore, they say, well, we still have your data, and that will ruin your reputation, so you still better pay us. And when we're negotiating with these people, it's rather interesting to see because they will throw the insurance policies right back up. Like, we know you can pay this. Here's your insurance policy. We stole a copy of.
Yep.
So it's absolutely crazy. And obviously, as they evolved and online crime became more sophisticated, they recognized that they could essentially lease out their expertise and infrastructure to other criminals. And so oftentimes when you're dealing with the Revil ransomware, they're running it as a service for other criminal organizations that don't have the same technical chops as they do. And they're making a ton of money. They claim to make about $100 million US a year just hitting companies. It's absolutely crazy. It's just nuts.
All right, so we're going to need to take a commercial break. When we come on back, here's the question to think about. This was deployed as a 0-day vulnerability in this attack. So I want you to think about and help us as we come back from the commercial break. Explain what is different between an attack and a 0-day vulnerability attack. So we're going to go to a commercial break. Nick, we'll see you right after the break here to answer that question.
See you soon.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
Hi, Hi, this is Lisa Downs, host of Reigniting You, a new show here on KKNW that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making mid to late career transitions. I'll be here every Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock bringing you guest interviews, career transition advice, and great stories to guide you to what's next in your career and life. Gain a renewed sense of purpose for your next phase with a positive, forward-looking approach. Get ready to be re-energized, recharged, and reignited Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. All
right, welcome back to Tech Time Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mum. We got Mike Roday here and David Brown behind the board. And so Nick Espinoza is our guest, and he's explaining to us what has happened. Now, when we went to break, we asked him to explain what the difference is between some cyber attacks and a zero-day vulnerability attack. So as we come right back here, Nick, explain what a zero-day vulnerability attack is.
Sure. So I think it's really important to understand essentially what zero day means in the cybersecurity industry. 0 day comes from the response time it takes to inoculate a system against a brand new infection, threat, or vulnerability. So basically, think about it this way. The antivirus and firewall makers in your life have less than 24 hours or 0 days to identify the threat, create an inoculation for it, and then get that to your network, get it to your antivirus or your firewall or whatever that is. Now, the enterprise technology companies, like the enterprise firewalls, et cetera, can usually turn that around in minutes, meaning like we have an outbreak in Mongolia, we're defended here in the United States, usually in a couple of minutes. Mid-range products tend to take hours, and sometimes it can take a day or more to actually do that, but their averages for inoculation tend to be less than 24 hours or 0 day. And so when we're talking about a 0 day infection, or a vulnerability, essentially what it means is that, and we can use Microsoft Windows as an example for this, when Eternal Blue came out, this is essentially a vulnerability that Microsoft and nobody on the planet really recognized was an issue until it was. And so by virtue of that, once it was discovered by researchers and Microsoft was alerted, or Microsoft discovered it themselves, they have to quickly figure out how the heck are we going to patch this? How are we going to update this system? And then they've got to alert the world to say, hey, we have a massive problem with Microsoft here. Let's go get that patch. Make sure you're patching against Eternal Blue. So you have to remember that even though an infection or a vulnerability, an infection or a vulnerability has to be discovered before it can actually be patched, which is when it's discovered, then the clock is ticking. And oftentimes these vulnerabilities can be sitting in systems for days, weeks, or in the case of Intel, even years until there's some kind of fix for that. If you remember the Intel processor mess with Spectre and all that kind of stuff. So this is a huge problem that we have industry-wide. And essentially what you're looking at are malicious criminals that are looking for those vulnerabilities. And once they find them, they don't want to tell anybody, because now they can use that to exploit the system. So they'll strategically hit it, and hopefully the firewall makers, the threat detection companies out there will see that exploit and then quickly turn around and write an inoculation for the rest of us. The last person you want to be is ground zero, the very first company that's hit with this, because you're going to take the brunt for everybody else as everybody starts inoculating behind you. So it's a huge, huge problem that we have, and that's essentially how a 0 day is.
So I worked for a MSP company about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a customer. We used this WebRoot product, and it's okay. It sucked actually, but at the time I was like, oh, this is awesome. And we were an attack victim, and we were the first person that were attacked at this lawyer company. And essentially, when we worked with the antivirus company and the other company that was supposed to be providing this protection, essentially what they said is, oops, you're client number one. So guess what? We don't have anything to help you, but hopefully we'll take care of the rest of our clients. And you're pretty much just,
right.
You're just host.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's also, I'm sorry. I think it's also important to understand, too, that if your core defensive strategy is using antivirus for your computer, you're doing it wrong. The goal is to actually stop the threat before it gets to the machine. Your WebRoot or whatever you're running should never have to kick in, because you can stop it at the perimeter with that firewall or something before that.
So what was nice about this is I took over the company after this happened, and so we changed our processes and our endpoints to make sure we could not take care of it. But I actually had to be a part of the legal process for this, and essentially say, yeah, the knucklehead that was here before me had no clue what he was doing. And so, you got compromised. And I went to WebRoot and I said, okay, what are we going to do about this? And they're like, oh, thank you very much, because we protected another 30,000 people, and best of luck to you. And they had no backups. at this deal. The customer decided to do.
This is why I call this the drinking thing, because somebody who doesn't know how all this stuff works, this is really scary.
It was. So this guy lost everything. So he's a lawyer. He was a lawyer up north in Skagit County area, and we were providing IT service. Actually, I say we because I came on afterwards, but we were providing IT services for this company, and essentially he lost everything. And it was like, oops, and we didn't have backups because he chose not to do backups, and the company was like, okay, well, we'll let you choose if you want to do backups or not do backups, when we would have had a backup solution that was taken care of. And so this guy just lost everything, and we had to tell him, oops, sorry.
See, that's really frightening.
Yeah, and so this MSP aspect of what happened here is huge. I mean, these MSPs are going to go out of business. These businesses are going to go out of business, and this is going to be just a trickle effect throughout the whole economy aspect of managed software for Kaseya. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. All right, let's talk about Kaseya was attacked with two different incidences. First, the attack against dozens of managed service providers using the Kaseya VSA 0-day. And then what happened is they used the VSA software to deploy the Revil ransomware throughout all the businesses, where customers of the managed service provider were allowed to have a "Do I want to protect" icon to click on, and they chose to do that, which caused problems. Explain this two-prong approach, and how would you go about taking care of that if you were a small business to make sure this didn't happen moving forward, Nick?
Right. Well, so part of the issue that we're going to have is that small businesses are not equipped to handle these kinds of things. Oftentimes, their threat detection is low to medium at best. Most of them are not running enterprise products or technology because their MSPs, basically aren't training up on those more advanced products. Even though they're just maybe slightly more expensive than the mid-range ones. So that's a huge issue right there. And the reason why that's an issue, and it's similar with SolarWinds, is that what ends up happening is basically in your antivirus, in your firewall, in your defensive systems, you start making exceptions for this. Meaning, as your managed service provider is installing this, they're telling the firewall and the antivirus, oh, leave it alone, it's Kaseya. Kaseya is legitimate, it's not a problem. And what ended up happening is, because these attackers were leveraging the actual Kaseya itself to download these infections, I guarantee you there's a lot of firewalls out there that said, oh, it's Kaseya, just let it through, don't check it. There's antivirus that said, oh, it's Kaseya, let it through, don't check it because it's signed as Kaseya. So this is a huge issue. So as we are looking at this, what we have to make sure is that even if we have legitimate products, we are still scanning those for threats, scanning those for changes, and ideally, upgrading those antiviruses, those endpoint detection response systems, those firewalls, that you have to something that's more aggressive, that can essentially decrypt and inspect things like SSL and TLS traffic, and get those 0-day updates a lot faster, as they're catching them more in the wild. So I think those are the things, right there. But also, it's working with that existing managed service provider to understand how they are now going to improve this, because if Kaseya simply patches this and it's all back to normal, well, that's a problem too, because nobody's improved or hardened their defenses. They're once again trusting and relying on Kaseya, which clearly broke that trust in this situation. And so these are things that are going to have to be tackled in the next couple of months.
So I'm a part of a advisory group for, it's called Provisors, for the Seattle market area. And a lot of time people will ask me, well, what type of MSP should I use? There's about 15 different MSPs in the Seattle market, and this one sounds good, and this person's really nice, and this person's really nice. And I tell them, listen, there's only one company in all of Seattle, and that's where I actually have trust with, because they have a certain price point. They have dark trace backend monitoring. They have endpoint detection, and they actually make you have to pay for this service. And it's the only one in Seattle that I would recommend. And when everybody else tells me, well, I went with this guy or this guy or this guy, I just cringe. And I'm like, oh, best of luck. I hope that it's going to work, because out of these MSPs, 60, 70 in the Seattle area that you take a look at, there's only one as a security and a technology guy that I would recommend. So that's the scary part, that there's very few that you would recommend.
This is a good vote for going back to the mail system, the old mail system.
The old mail system?
Yeah, I'm going to send information through the mail.
So let me ask you, Nick, how many MSPs in your area, you live in where again? Tell everybody. Chicago. How many MSPs in that area would you recommend if someone said I wanted to use an MSP?
So I will give you my typical advice, and this goes for any area on the planet where there's an MSP pitching you. They can tell you about their certifications or whatever they've got or how responsive they are, The proof is in the technology that they offer you in terms of capability and defense. And if they're giving you or offering you, let's say, low to mid-range products, that shows that, one, there's a certain level of complacency there, meaning, oh, we've probably been using this for 5 to 10 years. We know to the penny our profit margin. We don't have to train our people because they've known it for 5 to 10 years. But that product has been passed over by other more advanced, more aggressive threat detection systems. And so they end up getting behind. If they are running enterprise technology, the dark traces of the world, if you will, I can throw out other names, that is a really good sign in the sense that they are recognizing that they are investing time, energy, and training to get to that next level. It's also attractive to larger size businesses. So for example, I can walk into a small business with 5 people and sell them the same firewall that the DoD uses, and it will be in their price point. And the difference is that I have spent a lot of time, energy, and money training the bejesus out of that to make sure that we're at that level. Otherwise, I couldn't walk into a Fortune 100 company pitching it. I'd be shown the door. If I had a mid-range or low product. So as you are looking at that, and there are not many here in Chicago either, in that vein, and this is a problem that we have. And the other issue we have in the cybersecurity community is that a lot of IT companies or MSPs basically put out that cybersecurity shingle and say, yes, we're doing cybersecurity, and they're not. They're really not. They're doing data security, and sometimes it's part of data security.
They suck. They say that they know security.
I like the coaching industry.
This is horrible because they do it all the time, and I'll have people, I got this guy right here, and he told me it was good. I go, but your guy's an idiot. So that's great. So that you're going to trust a guy that knows this much about security.
And
I know this much.
Right.
And listen, don't do that. But,
right. I have MSPs as clients. And they come to me because they're like, hey, we don't want to be the MSP that gets hit. We don't want to offer crap to our client. Please step up the game. Please get us into enterprise products. Please train us on what cybersecurity actually is, which is an entire risk modeling that they say, oh, yeah, we'll throw in a backup. It goes to the cloud. You're good in 24 hours. Well, that might be 18 hours too late because you haven't quantified the risk. Not to mention asset management. People will use like I say as asset management, and it's not. So these are things that we really have to, I think, understand when we're picking that good provider.
That's why you should go to a consultant that knows security first, like Nick or myself or other people that actually understand this, and then choose to go with an MSP. Don't choose your MSP and then say, oh, well, I think I'm safe, but it's really cheap. I only pay $59 a month for this guy. I'm like, well, yeah, guess what? You're going to be hosed because you should be paying about $169 to $200 because that's what you need.
Right.
But, okay.
That's one of the things we do. We help companies pick IT.
All right, Nick.
In my arena, I was liking this to the coaching industry.
The coaching industry. Well, nobody comes to us until they always have problems, and then they get hosed, and then we tell them, okay, well now you should have done it. Oh, we should have listened to you before, and it's like, yeah, I talked to you like 6 times before, and you didn't listen to me. So best of luck to you.
That's human behavior. That's how it. Yeah.
All right, Nick, if I wanted to get in touch with you, how do I get in touch with you? I appreciate you being on this segment. I still have my Nathan Nugget that I'm going to get done in like 2.5 minutes. So tell us where they can get a hold of you, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So please, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, / Nick Espinoza, or YouTube, which is, I think, Nick Espinoza as well, or even Twitter at Nick AESP. And feel free to connect to me, ask me questions, etc. I'm always happy to hear from people. So
you can also find him on the guest segment if you go to TechTime Radio /guest or the guest icon, and you can see Nick, and he has the most segments on YouTube. He keeps on adding to them, so he's our most treasured guest on there.
Yes.
He'll be first on top of the
Thanks
list.
for giving me justification for drinking.
All right, there we go. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come on back, we got Nathan Nugget in probably 1.5 minutes, so you're going to want to listen quickly. We'll see you after this.
It's not going to happen.
Hey, honey, did you hear what I heard? What's that, babe? I heard Mike over there at TechTime Radio. He's like battling he's in the swimming with the sharks in that singles arena, if you will.
Oh, bless his heart. And I also heard, like you did, that maybe things aren't going so great. You know what he needs, babe?
I think he needs to spend a little time in Love Shack.
Yeah, Love Shack. The Love Shack that airs every Thursday at 1 p.m. PST on KKNW 1150.
Come on, Mike. Come on over and join us. We got you.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO-level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
Hey, Mike, as a business owner, why do we form an LLC or a corporation?
Well, that's pretty simple. We want to protect ourselves personally from the liability of the company.
That's right, Mike. The very next thing we should be doing as business owners is protecting ourselves personally from the finances of the company.
Right. Yeah, that's why you want to get help, and you can get help from the Business Doctor, which was founded by Dr. Glenn Smith, PhD in business management, accounting, and finance. Schedule your free business evaluation and consultation at thebusinessdoctor.us.
Enroll in the Rapid Business Credit Builder program and get up to 100K business credit under the company's EIN and the DUNS number in less than 6 months. The DUNS number is really important for your rating when you purchase other items from other businesses, never having to use personal credit ever again. That's thebusinessdoctor.us or call 866-383-1030. Again, that's 866-383-1030 or thebusinessdoctor.us.
Visit the Business Doctor today.
All right, welcome back to TechTime Radio.
Man, you're so busted.
We are out of time. So we were going to do Nathan's Nugget. We are not going to do that, but if you go to techtimeradio.com, you'll be able to see that as a blog post. I will put all the information out there. We appreciate you for being here. I got Mike O'Day, David Brown, and myself. We will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment in technology today. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service from Apple to Google and everything in between. And also signing up on our YouTube page, where you get to see us live in video. Yep, you can see us chat and have some fun. It's youtube.com/TechTime Radio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host,